financial education, not that garbage they teach you from financial planners. Go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, buy a house, get out of debt, and invest for the long term in a well-diversified portfolio of stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. Anybody following that advice is now toasted, because this whole thing is going down like the Hindenburg. And so the reason, again, going back to this in 1996, Kim and I created this board game so people could teach themselves what my rich dad taught me. And I think the real thing I have to talk to you about today is this book here is called Rich Dad's Prophecy. And Rich Dad's Prophecy, I started writing in 1999 and what this book says here was why the biggest stock market crash in history is coming, and how you can prepare yourself and profit from it. So I predicted the biggest crash would come in 2016, but I missed it by 4 years. So it came on March 2020, so just a couple of months ago. So March 2020, Rich Dad's Prophecy came true. And as you may know, people hope once the economy coming back. I don't think it's coming back. I think the world has been changed forever. So if you're out there still following that advice of go to school, get a job, save money, buy a house, get out of debt, and invest for the long term in the stock market, I'll pray for you tonight. So going back further, so prophecy is finally coming true. And the reason it took till 2020 and not 2016 is because I did not foresee, back in 1999, I did not foresee the desperation of Wall Street, the US government, and the Federal Reserve Bank. Did not see it. I had no idea they would go to quantitative easing, which is basically violated the rules of the economy of the Federal Reserve Bank. And they started printing trillions of dollars. In this last few months, they say they printed $2.2 trillion. What does that mean? It means what Rich Dad Poor Dad said, savers are losers. Why would you save money when they're printing it? So that's kind of why the Rich Dad Company was created back in 1996 and was prepared for this time today. So if I could give you a chart, because this is what I call real financial education, not that garbage they teach you. Now, if you want to, follow Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman, cut up your credit cards, get out of debt, that's up to you. And you can invest for the long term in the stock market. That's up to you. But, the people who have been coming with us today, that's the worst advice you can follow today, because I think we're going down big time. We may not hit, we're definitely going into a massive recession, possibly a depression, maybe an economic collapse. That's how dangerous we are today. So that's why I'm glad you're tuning in right now. And I'm going to give you an overview of what real financial education is, not that bullshit they feature from Wall Street. That invest for the long term in the stock market is a suicide mission, especially after March of 2020, because the biggest crash did come and it's still crashing. So let me give you a little history. Here's a chart, okay? And the reason I could predict the future is because I grew up cutting school and being a surfer. And every surfer knows this, that there's two kinds of surfers. There's small wave surfers, they call them shore break. And in Hawaii, shore break is just wind-driven waves. And then there's big wave surfers. So my fantasy was I wanted to be a big wave surfer. And big waves come from ocean swells hitting Hawaii in the wintertime coming from Alaska. So every surfer knows this, that waves come in sets of three. So here's the first wave, the second wave, and the third wave here at 2020. So that's how I could predict the future. It wasn't what I learned in business school. So seeing that this was coming, it goes all the way back to here in 1971, which I wrote about here in my book, Fake. In 1971, the US dollar became fake money. And nobody picked that up, became credit. The US dollar became debt in 1971, no gold behind it. But did our school teachers change? No. So that's why the second title is Fake Teachers. And the third thing they started to do is they fake assets. I wouldn't touch stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs or save money. You can do it if you want, but that's not what I do. So you look at this whole thing here. So 1971, I read about it in Fake. I was flying for the U.S. Marine Corps, and I went looking for gold because what happened in 71, Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. So in 1971 or 72, I started buying gold. Today, silver. And the good news is, even if you're late to the party, you can still buy a silver U.S. Eagle for $20. So everybody's still in the game here. I wouldn't save the US dollar unless you really want to. So this was here, it goes along. So in this chart here, the first wave, we're building up to 2000 or the dot-com crash. And that's when Kim and I came out with the cash flow board game, right here around 1996. And then we came out with Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And then right at the top, we came out with Rich Dad's Prophecy. So what we're predicting is this year, the crash that came in 2020. So here we go along like this. And as you may know, Rich Dad, Poor Dad was turned down by every publisher because they said I didn't know what I was talking about. So we had to self-publish the book, which is a good thing. So the dot-com crash hit, and then they started printing more money. I couldn't believe it. They didn't fix the problem. They made the problem worse. So they printed. So in January of 2008, I was on CNN. You can go to the Rich Dad website. You can see me on CNN with Wolf Blitzer. And I'm predicting in January of 2008 that Lehman Brothers was going to go down. And Wolf Blitzer says, "Are you saying Lehman is going down?" And I said, "That's what I'm calling." And again, the reason I could call it is very simply because I have more financial education, not much, but more than most financial planners. And I could see the wave building. So the top of the wave right here, I'm on CNN in September 2008, it went down. Lehman went down. And that was called the subprime crash. Now, a lot of people say that was terrible because a lot of millions of people lost their jobs, their businesses, their homes. 4.5 million Americans in America alone lost their homes. They found out their house is not an asset. And every time they printed more money, savers became bigger losers. So everything we were saying back here was coming true. So I'm on Wolf Blitzer, the thing comes crashing on down, 2008 and all this. At that time, Kim, myself, and Ken McElroy, we borrowed $300 million. Now, the average person cannot borrow $300 million, but the reason we can do it is because of what we taught here on the cash flow board game. We could borrow that much money because we had financial statements that backed us up. We knew what we were talking about. So the bugger comes down here like this, and that's when I predicted in prophecy they're going to do the same thing as they did back here in 97, 81. They're just going to print more money. I couldn't believe they go to QE, quantitative easing, or ZIRP, zero interest rates policy. Again, QE, quantitative easing, and ZIRP rips off savers. So that's why those who've been saving gold and silver instead of dollars have done far better than those who are saving money. So the thing went back up, and I thought it would hit around 2016. But again, not foreseeing the desperation of the Federal Reserve Bank, of Wall Street, and the U.S. Treasury. So they just push it up here, and then this corona, this fake pandemic hits, and it goes down. My message is the world has changed forever. I mean, they didn't need to add the coronavirus to it. You know, I knew, I can ask Andy and Kim and my friends, I was talking about this crash coming for years. And the real crash started actually in September 2019. And the crash took place and was called the shadow banking system. So what is a shadow banking system? So it's taking place right about here on the chart here. The shadow banking system is where the banks really bank. So what happened in September 2019, the biggest banks in the world, like Deutsche Bank, the hedge funds and all that, they were running out of money. There was not enough money. So the big event that happened in September 2019 was they raised the interest rates to the biggest banks in the world to 10%. What that meant was the markets had no confidence in our banks. That was a horrible, horrible indicator. So in September, I knew this thing was coming down. I didn't know the exact date. So at the same time that they were raising the interest rates on the biggest banks like Deutsche Bank and HSBC and those guys, or the hedge funds, they were dropping the interest rates for the consumer in the public market. So the big banks are raising. In December of 2019, or just 5 months ago, the stock market was all-time highs. The unemployment was at 3%. But everybody who is a professional investor knows it's going to come down. It doesn't go on forever. And what happened in November, December, and January, all the suckers rushed into the market. They kept lowering the interest rates. People were looking for yields and returns, rushed into the stock market, and then voila, like magic, this guy Fauci says, oh, guess what? We have a coronavirus coming now. Where did that come from? He and Gates were calling for this coronavirus to hit for a while, but I think I have no proof on this, so don't quote me. But I think when they saw what happened in September 2019, when they knew the internal banking system was collapsing, they needed an excuse to blame the crash on. So the Fed wasn't going to take the blame, the Treasury wasn't going to take the blame, Wall Street was going to take the blame. So the masses now think the real crisis is a coronavirus crisis. I think it's a smokescreen. So don't quote me on that. I know I get crucified by all the trolls out there, but I don't want to take that vaccine. I'll tell you that much. I have no plans on taking it. If they force me to take it, I'll move to Tahiti and suffer. Little buggers, But anyway, I think the virus is a smokescreen for the real collapse. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking by it. So that's why the question is, when you look at this chart here, how far down are we going to go? And will the economy come back? And if you're owning a restaurant and you think you're going to open a restaurant again, I'll pray for you tonight. How would you like to be a cruise ship owner, like Norwegian Lines? All a cruise ship is a floating mortgage. Without passengers, they can't pay that mortgage. Think of all those airlines. Without passengers, they can't pay the mortgage. My point is, it goes all the way back here to 1971 when the US dollar became debt. And so the only reason the economy expanded was they always found somebody else to take on the debt. So look at 1971, that's when credit cards came out. So everybody started getting credit cards. Why? Because that's how the economy grows. You had to have somebody borrow the money. Also, what happened in 74, 72, Nixon opened the doors to China. Interesting. Also in 74, ERISA came out, which is now known as a 401k. So now, so all of this right now is coming all the way up here. The baby boomers are deeply in debt. Their pensions are now bankrupt. Mitch McConnell of the state of Kentucky whispered the word bankruptcy. What bankruptcy means by Senator McConnell means the school teachers, firefighter, and police officers, they're not going to get their pension. What happened in March of 2020, just last couple of months ago, Kentucky's pension dropped from 16% to 9%. What does that mean? For every $100 the state of Kentucky owed to pensioners, they had $16. After the crash, went to $9. And that's why my friend Ted Siddell and I wrote this book, Who Stole My Pension? And the 401ks, if you're still buying, holding, and praying, I'll pray for you tonight. Because I don't think this crash is over yet. I think it's just starting. And what they're probably going to do is pump more money into it. So the baby boomers who had the easiest time of their lives, because real estate prices kept going up, jobs were plentiful, the economy was expanding because of debt and credit. The baby boomers are now toast, just as they retire. And Social Security went negative in 2010, and Medicare is going to have the biggest boost ever as more baby boomers can't afford health care. So we're sitting in a very precarious position right now. At the same time, Obama in 2009, over here, he needed to get more people in debt. So that's where the student loans came out, and now our students are deeply in debt. I think the student loan debt right now is $1.7 trillion. So if you understand what I'm saying here, back in 1971, the US dollar became fake, and the only way the economy could grow was as long as somebody could borrow money. So credit cards, student loan debt, housing, and whatever else people borrow money for. So the United States is the biggest debtor nation in the world right now. China is a huge debtor nation. The world is collapsing under this corona crisis. There's a thing called, in the shadow banking, which is the invisible banking system, there are now swaps. That's a shadow. What a swap is, let's say Japan needs US dollars. So Japan goes to the Federal Reserve Bank and says, we're out of dollars, US dollars. We have yen, but we have no dollars. Can you lend us dollars? So in April of 2020, Japan borrowed $500 billion in US dollars to keep their economy afloat. So while everything looks bad on the surface, underneath in the shadow banking system, which is a repo market, which is a commercial paper market, which is a corporate credit market, and all these swaps, it's coming apart. So that's why it was founded back in 1996 with the cash flow game and preparing people for this time. So the question is, where do you go now? Are you still going to go back to school, get a job, work hard, open a restaurant, drive a cruise ship, fly a plane, and invest for the long term in a well-diversified portfolio of stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs? And most people should, because what we're about to tell you we do takes real financial education. And Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Rich Dad stands for real financial education, not the BS that the financial planners give you. Nothing wrong with financial planners, but I don't need to I don't need to listen to them. I don't need stocks, bonds, and mutual funds because I can beat their returns all day, all night, all day, all night. They can't even get any returns anymore. Why would you give your money to them? And I think we're still going to go down. We might be going into a depression. Guys like Jim Rickards and several people say we're on the edge of depression right now. And the last depression, which was 1929 here, the depression lasted 25 years to 1954, measured against the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So if this next depression lasts 25 years, you're going to buy, hold, and pray? So we've entered a brave new world, especially for the old guys, retirees, who are wondering how they're going to retire. And second, what about the young people coming out of school right now? They're looking for a job. When artificial intelligence is coming out and all this replacing people. So again, it's a long explanation, but the reason I wrote the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Kim and I created the cash flow board game was to prepare people for this time in history. So I'm glad you're all listening to this program. My job is to disturb you because nothing is worse than somebody being comfortable in a crash. And I think we're crashing. So I'm going to turn to my sweetheart, Kim, because I wouldn't be here without her. She and I spent many, many nights developing this board game, Cash Flow. And we used to have what was called 2-picture nights because they were killing brain cells at high rates of speed, trying to put all the numbers to work. So Kim, thank you. And would you explain what a 2-picture night is?
Well, a 2-picture night is we would work all day long on all the details of this cash flow board game. And basically what the cash flow board game is what Robert and I did to go from the rat race to become financially free. It really is the steps that we took. The scorecard is actually a financial statement as the way we look at the financial statement. So we basically took what we did and simplified it down to a game that's fun and entertaining where people teach people. So a 2-picture night meant, okay, our brains are fried. We're going to the pizza place. We're going to have 2 pitchers of beer and a large pizza. So it was a great journey. But here's what I want to say about the cash flow game today, because, a lot of people are home and homebound or with their kids because schools are closed. And we had no idea at the Rich Dad Company. And I'm so appreciative and really proud of a lot of people, the way they're handling this, because what's happened at the Rich Dad Company is the cash flow board game is selling like crazy. We're sold out for the second time. We've gone back to production 3 times, but people are using this time to get educated. They're using the time to play the game, to read, to study. And I think right now, that's probably the best use of your time, as Robert said, to prepare for what is coming. Now, what is coming is there's a lot of unknowns. And I know a lot of you are interested in real estate. Just a couple days ago, Kenny McElroy, who's our Rich Dad advisor on real estate, and Robert's and my investment partner in real estate, we had a long talk about what is going on today. So I just want to share some of his insights and what we're doing today when it comes to real estate. Very forthright. Our 7,000 units or so in April, the rents, okay, we're all worried about, can people pay the rent? They're out of work. That's a huge issue right now. And there's two principles that we followed from day one that are still applicable today. So in April, our rents overall were down only 7%. 7% of the people did not pay rent. May, we were down 23%. So there's a lot of unknown what's going to come June, July, August, September, depending on what happens with the economy. So one of the key principles we've always followed, and we use it today, and it's more applicable today than ever, is that employment drives real estate. So think about it. All these people out of work. Kenny was telling me that they predict 50% of small businesses within malls, within shopping malls, are gone. They're gone, 50% already. Think about different locations. Think about Orlando, Florida. What's in Orlando, Florida? Disney World. Okay, shut down. All those jobs, thousands of jobs are gone. Las Vegas, same thing. It's a ghost town, and that was people-driven, job-driven. So, and if Robert or Andy, you want to jump in at any time, please feel free to. But it's changing considerably. Okay, what were two huge real estate plays in the last few years? Airbnb, VRBO, vacation rental by owner, gone, pretty much gone. If you have to travel someplace, that's very difficult. So what Kenny and I were talking about is where is the opportunity in real estate today? What is the bright side, if there is a bright side? And one of our properties that we have up in Sedona, this is kind of unusual because I never thought about this. We have a resort. It's kind of rustic lodges, cabins in Sedona, Arizona. And we were allowed to open, thanks to our governor here. And here's what's happening, though. People are not flying to us, but they are driving to us. So right now we're 100% booked at this resort because people want to get away. They want someplace to drive to. These stay vacations, I think, might get pretty popular, but they want someplace to drive to. So employment drives real estate. Houston, oil prices dropped. That's a problem. I was in Detroit just a few months ago, and Detroit, they had a whole revitalization happening, and their real estate prices are very low. So that kind of goes to principle number 2. So principle number 1 is employment drives real estate. So if there's jobs, you got to look for where are the jobs, what's happening, where are people working, where are they moving to if they're moving. That's number 1. And number 2, the principle we always followed, Robert and Kenny and myself, we never went for the high-end properties. We didn't invest in the high end because when a crash happens, when a correction happens, the first people that are going to downsize are those in the high-end units, high-end houses, and they're going to go to what we call more the B-class properties. So middle of the road. So people will downsize. People have to have a place to live. So in talking with Kenny, we're talking about, what are the good possibilities? And he said we've lost very few renters. Kenny and his team have been very, very smart. They're giving $100 vouchers each month. They're working on payment plans to keep people, if they're out of work. We don't want anybody we're not going to evict anybody. We want people to get through this, and we're helping them get through it by payment plans, things like that. So there's a whole lot I can talk about, but on the overall, we're still employment drives real estate, and we do not go high end. We go B class primarily because people need a place to live. So those two principles still apply today, but we don't know where this is going. We don't know how it's going to turn out. Businesses that seem to be doing well, RVs and camping, so maybe that's a business you want to get into. Do it yourself, Home Depot and Lowe's, those are good businesses. Regional warehouses, everybody wants delivery. So regional warehousing, they're looking for properties to warehouse their goods and services. So we are in a place we have no idea where we're going, but I think the best thing we can do is pay attention to what's happening, look at where the opportunity is, there's always something to invest in. There's always an opportunity starting your own business. But the most important thing at this time, I think a lot of people did take advantage of getting financially educated, learning new things, studying with their families, studying with themselves, playing the cash flow game. That just makes my heart sing that people are doing that and they really want to take control of their lives. So that's my update on real estate. If there are any questions, I'm still here.
Well, if I could chime in there, is the real estate is taking a hit at shopping centers.
Yes.
And restaurants.
Good.
And again, that goes back to what I was talking about in September of 2019. The shadow banking market started to crash. The shadow banking market are the guys that finance. Lord & Taylor just declared bankruptcy. Neiman Marcus just declared bankruptcy. These big shopping centers are all shadow banking guys. That's what was crashing before the COVID came out. So it's very important to realize there's things that are not making the news. So that's why in September 2019, I knew we were in trouble when interest rates went to the biggest guys in the world, the guys that financed Lord & Taylor and Neiman Marcus. They didn't trust them anymore. They didn't trust their assets. They didn't trust those big box retailer stores. So that's why they raised interest rates, went to 10% to the biggest banks in the world, but dropped it for the consumer because they need the consumer to be in debt. So if you can start getting your mind around that here. So there's a whole nother world that most people don't see. They just see the stock market or the bond market or whatever they watch. But I'm going to go into what really financial education is, because I'm going to set up my friend here, is I don't believe in investing for the long term in the stock market, in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. If you have no financial education, please do that. Follow Dave Ramsey's advice. Live debt-free. That's the smartest thing you can do. And give your money to ETFs and mutual funds, and I'll pray for you tonight, but I wouldn't touch those things. But maybe you should. That's what I'm saying. What real financial education is, Kim already talked about it, it's not real estate, it's debt. You see, when you go back to 1971, the US dollar became debt, and the biggest losers were the savers. They dropped interest rates to zero, which means the debtors can make a lot of money, but the savers are, oh, I'm saving money, getting paid nothing. Are you an idiot? Jeez, wake up. So you have to, what real financial education is, you have to understand debt and how to use debt as money, because that's really what it is. And the second thing about real financial education is you have to understand taxes, because taxes are your single largest expense. Think about that, but they don't teach you that. You know, they put your things in a mutual fund and you get dollar matching, whatever the heck with your 401k. That's chump change. The real guys are much more aggressive on taxes because it's your single largest expense. So real financial education is not so much real estate, but how to use debt and how to pay nothing in taxes. The third part, if you're really going to be in financial education, is these charts here. They're called cycles and trends. Okay. You have to pay attention to the cycles and trends. And just FYI, there is a trend that repeats every 90 years. So 1929, do the math, to 2020, 90 years. On time, on schedule. It was actually 2019. On time, on schedule, the crash came. So let me say it again. Real financial education is not buy, hold, and pray, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, saving money and getting out of debt. Real financial education has got to understand how to use debt to get rich and understand taxes. Well, that sets up Andy Tanner here, he is my expert on cycles and trends, because a trend is your friend. See, what I said here is all the idiots jumped in up here. It's like lemmings just before they went over the cliff. And the smart guys were getting out way ahead of time here. So Andy is our expert. His books are called Stock Market Cash Flow and 401 Chaos. And he's going to explain, this is what he teaches people. Andy can make more money coming this way than going this way. because it comes down faster than it goes up. So all of you sitting at home ready to get on suicide watch right now, you should have been listening to Andy, because you'd be really rich right now, because if it comes down, you get really rich faster. But that's real financial education. And with that, Andy, take it away.
Well, thanks so much, Robert. It's really nice to be here with you guys and with Kim, and we're really grateful for Rich Dad World for having us. It's such an important time. And as Robert said, I think the question now is what do I do? And markets go up and markets go down. And if a person is on autopilot, if they still have a job, throwing money into a 401k, they have no control over whether that goes up or goes down. And Robert, my concern for people is that, when you're at a poker game, there's often people who, show their hand. They can kind of show what they have. And I will tell you, when you look at March of this crash, it's speaking about these trends, the market really showed their hand. They really showed where they feel about what the true values of these stocks were. And in my humble opinion with trend, the only thing that stopped that from getting worse was exactly what you said, is they poured trillions and trillions of dollars into the economy, which put the brakes on that. And so looking forward in the future, you have really two choices. Is you can either have a context of a big picture of advice and say, well, tell me what to do. Or you can say, no, I want a context of education. I don't know about you, Robert, but everyone has been asking me what to buy. Should I buy gold? Should I buy real estate? Don't ask me that. What should I study? And right now, learning about trends, as Robert said, but also that chart in 1971 is a huge chart because money fundamentally changed. And what you're going to see is really a detachment from things like earnings and value into printed money and what that means. And so, people will say, Andy, what are you buying? Well, I wouldn't recommend my mother do what I do because my mom doesn't know what I know. And it's far too complex to explain in 20 minutes. So you have to invest to the level of your education. There will be a post-coronavirus world starting now, right? We can see Corona, wherever I'm not an expert on that stuff. I really don't care. It'll come, it'll go, whatever it is, conspiracy or no. What I do know is that there's 30 million people that don't have a job. What I do know is Neiman Marcus isn't going to make it. What I do know is JCPenney can't pay their bills. And what I do know is about 40% of small businesses looks like they're not going to make it. There's no reason for the stock market to be even where it is now with those types of numbers and those types of problems. So when that came down really hard in March, I feel like the market showed their hand, that the only thing that's propping this up is the Federal Reserve. And it's going to be a real interesting journey in the post-coronavirus world to see what lengths the Fed will try to keep going to keep printing. I don't think we've seen the end of printing of the money. And we're going to find out, what's going to happen in the post-1971 world and the post-coronavirus world. So, my recommendation isn't to buy stocks or to buy Bitcoins or gold or any of that stuff. My recommendation is say, maybe now is the time for me to get as smart as I can possibly become. One more thing I'll say on education, I'll throw it back to Robert, is when Al Gore invented the internet, and just ask him, he'll tell you he invented it, we went into the information age. Now we live in what I feel is a misinformation age, and it's a great opportunity to get smarter. When I see something on Facebook or something in the news, I now have to train myself to say, well, do I believe that or not? I'm very skeptical about everybody and what everybody says. What do I really know about? What do I not know about? So in a world where people can just say anything, it's your financial education that's going to see you through. I think it's the best investment that I have. I get a little emotional about it, because my sons play the cash flow game, and we started them probably earlier than most. My two little boys, they're not little anymore. And it has been such a blessing in our lives having that experience of playing the cash flow game and having Robert and Kim as personal mentors to my boys, because they have an understanding of what's going on right now. And they feel more calm. They feel more optimistic about the future because they feel we'll be able to navigate this well as a family. And so I just have to thank Robert and Kim for the cash flow game, because I know of all those people who've played it. My two sons have played it. We played it in our house. You guys know, incessantly. So that's really the question. What do I do now? Do I go the advice route or do I go the education route? And that choice is up to you. Like, I guess you can spend your time, watching Netflix until you've watched all those movies, or maybe you read the book Fake, or maybe read a book about retirement, or read a book about real estate or stocks or taxes. And that's what I would say. The post-coronavirus world, the people with the education will be the ones that survive and thrive. That's my opinion.
Thank you.
So, and can I just jump in here? And you made a really good point, because you said, there's so much information out there, and who knows what's real and what's fake. And a lot of people are acting on opinions that are not facts. And a lot of what you're saying is you got to do the education. You got to find out the facts for yourself. Otherwise, you're going to be operating on opinion, and you're going to be asking for the hot tip. Is that pretty much what you're saying?
Yeah, Kim, it's really, I look at it as 401ks. Is the reason paper assets are important. You have 4 asset classes of business, real estate, paper assets like stocks and options, and you have commodities. Of those 4 asset classes, it's my opinion that there are more people involved in paper assets with less education than any other asset class that's there. And I'm not anti-stock market per se, I'm anti-ignorance. And the 401k makes me crazy because it sells the notion that, all I got to do is go to work, get a job, and put money in here on autopilot without having to know anything about it. I can find billionaires and paupers in all 4 asset classes. To me, it's not about the asset class. It's about how smart is that person. Because if someone says, well, Andy, don't go into business because 8 out of 10 go out of business in 5 years. Well, you've got to convince Richard Branson he's an idiot, or Mark Cuban he's an idiot. If you say, if you get in real estate, you'll be cleaning toilets. I've never seen you clean a toilet, Kim. Maybe that's your alter ego at night. You put on your cape and your mask and clean toilets without us knowing, but I don't think that's it. If you look at the stock market, you got to knock on Warren Buffett's door and tell him he's an idiot, but he doesn't have a 401k. He doesn't do it. He's selling and redoing a lot of stuff right now. He's moving around and shaking. And of course, we know insurance. Of course, T. Boone Pickens was great in commodities. So, what is your education about? If you don't know about stocks, is it smart to invest in stocks? If you don't know about real estate, is it smart to invest in real estate? And if you know nothing about business, is it smart to invest in business? That's why I love the cash flow game, because the cash flow game is a simulation, and it's not so much played on the board like Monopoly is. It's really played on your financial statement. That's where the emphasis of that game is. I absolutely love it. And if someone says, where do I start and know anything? That's where I would start. I would start with something simple like the cash flow game.
And that's
the question, Andy.
I'm going to give back to Robert. I'm just going to interrupt one more time, Robert. Just one more, because I interrupt sometimes. But that's why I really want to applaud everybody that's watching, because you are taking your financial education into your own hands. And I really want to applaud everybody that's on this webinar and watching, and because I know you guys are wanting to make changes and want to improve your financial education. So I just want to take the time to applaud you and say thank you for watching Rich Dad's World.
So let me just reinforce what Andy teaches especially. Andy, when you see the market at this kind of high, is that good or bad to you?
Well, it's kind of fat and juicy, It's time for the watermelon to be cut open, right? It's matured. No, I felt the same way you did. You talked about, what we call an inverted yield curve last. You explained it more simply than I did, but that's really what we saw in September. Yeah. And we say, hey, this thing's filled with money right now. And the guys that know how to go short, or the guys that know how to insure, they stand to do very, very well in a crash. The guys that don't, they're in trouble. But like I said, I think the market showed its hand in March.
And so the people that are still buying, holding, and praying in their 401k or the IRA, what do you think? What advice would you have for them?
Well, I'd wish them luck because they have no control over it. Look, I think it's important to be prepared right now. Maybe what Robert and I are saying is right, maybe it's wrong. But if we are right, then being prepared is more important than predicting right now. And what I would say to those guys is good luck to you, because I don't think they're going to make it. I think they're going to be wiped out, Robert.
Okay, so let me show you one more thing here. It all says on this chart, 1929, it stayed flat for 25 years. 25 years. So if you're 70 years old and you're waiting for the stock market to come back, you'll be 95 years old. I mean, that's what you're possibly taking the risk of. So that's real financial education. Let me say it again. Real financial education is not about real estate. It's about debt.
Yeah.
In 1971, the dollar became debt. And the other one is taxes. And the next one here is cycles and trends. And it's going to be more volatility, probably down for the next 10 years.
One thing that you said, Robert, that I hope people didn't gloss over is when you said it's not about real estate, that it's about debt. And when you said, why would you save? Think about it in that two ways. If I'm not getting any interest, why would I save? And if the value of what I'm saving is going down, why would I save? So that education you offer on debt was one of the greatest gifts you ever gave me as investors, to understand that money is debt. It's a huge thing to learn.
Right. And then here, if you really want to know how the rich play the game, it's tax-free wealth, because the secret is in taxes. One of the reasons Donald Trump doesn't want to show his taxes, well, he's got many reasons, but one of them, he doesn't pay taxes. And it would drive the proletariat nuts. All the peasants are, well, how does a president not pay? He's a billionaire. How does he not pay taxes? Stupid question, peasant. Why are you paying taxes? That's the question. Do you know what I mean? And it's because you went to school, you probably got your PhD like my poor dad. You're making a lot of money and paying a lot of taxes. That's not intelligent. So we're talking today is about financial education. And there's one more thing, is what was my rich dad for me? He was my coach. He wasn't my teacher. He just kind of coached me along. When I got depressed, upset, wanted to make mistakes, he just sort of coached me along because he understood being an entrepreneur. My poor dad didn't understand anything because all he wanted was a paycheck and a pension. He didn't want to take risks. He couldn't take any, he didn't know how to make any corrections. He wanted job security and he didn't have it. And he wanted a steady paycheck and he lost it. And then when he lost it, they took his pension. And he was only 53 years old. But he had no skills. He had no entrepreneurial skills to recover. So we're not saying this is a quick fix. It's a panacea. You're gonna take you can play the cash flow game twice and you'll be set for life. That's not it. If that's what you really want to do, call Dave Ramsey or Susie Orman. They're your teachers. Which brings up the fourth point I want to make is choose your teachers wisely. I write about it in Fake. Where's that book? Here. I'll tell the story of going to Sunday school. And my Sunday school teacher, I was about 7 years old. The Sunday school teacher asked me, says, why were the three wise men wise? I'm not Christian. I'm not pumping that stuff. Why were the three wise men wise? And I didn't know. And all the kids were guessing, well, one had frankincense, one had myrrh, and one had gold. That's why they were wise. No, they were wise. They had that stuff, but they weren't that. They were wise, as she said, because they sought the best teacher. In the Christian world, that's Jesus Christ. I'm not promoting it. What I'm saying here is this: what wise people do is they seek the best teachers. And I don't trust most financial planners. I'm sure they're good guys, but they're salespeople. They've got to put food on the table just like you. Most are not rich. Most are struggling just like you. And you want to take advice from them? Or you want to listen to your college professor who has tenure? That's his idea of financial security, tenure. That's the dream of every teacher, is tenure, so they can't get fired. I wouldn't take advice from them. Yeah, I might learn history from them, but not financial advice. So really one of the biggest lessons a person can learn is choose your teachers wisely. And it doesn't have to be a rich dad, but Kim and I can vet our advisors because they're really our advisors. Right, Andy? I mean,
that's right. And it's wonderful to have a team like you talked about, choosing teachers wisely. I get to learn from you and Kim. I get to learn from Tom, from Garrett, from Kenny, from Josh and Lisa. It's an amazing team. And as we've, we meet every week as a team. On Friday, we do a Zoom call and put our Brady Bunch up there. And it's important to have a team because you're always going to be stronger with a team of good teachers than being a solo. So I'm grateful for my teachers.
Thank you. Every advisor has a book. So let's say a book costs you $20. Like if you really want to find out how the game is played with money, invest $20 and some time in tax-free wealth, and you'll find the real game. It's not go to school, get a job, and invest in a 401k. That's not the game. That's a loser's game. But you read this book here, or open your mind and say, well, maybe I better change my game. And that's what we've done in all this. Now the comments, Kim?
Yeah, learning from real teachers is easier today than ever. I mean, it is a new world in terms of how people are delivering information via Zoom. I've never done so many Zoom calls and Zoom webinars in my life. But even just a few days ago, Robert and I we participated as students in a live webinar with Eckhart Tolle of Power of Now, because now he can come right into our living room where before we were all going to have to fly somewhere, study together. Now to get access to the real teachers, and you've got to distinguish what's a real teacher to you, is easier than ever. So look for it. Look for it everywhere. Everybody is now who used to do the live seminars are now online doing a lot of free webinars, free events online. So it's a great opportunity now to learn from a lot of great teachers.
And there's some fabulous teachers on YouTube. And
You're addicted to YouTube. Robert is now a YouTube addict.
I'm a YouTube addict. I sleep with it on. I can't stand it. But those guys like George Gavin, Petrovic David, Jim Rickards, Jim Rogers, there are so many great teachers for free on YouTube. Why would you go to college and learn nothing about money? It makes no sense to me. So just think about that. It's a brave new world. But if you keep doing what your mommy and daddy did, you'll probably wind up like them,
Yeah, and it's back to real estate for just a moment. There's going to be a lot of supply coming online. I mean, all these Airbnbs and VRBOs, vacation rentals, they're going to be out of business quite a bit. So there's going to be a lot of inventory. So now there is going to be a great opportunity if you know what you're doing. If you don't have the financial education, as Andy said, then please do not part with your hard-earned money into something because you had a hot tip or it sounded like a good idea. If you don't have that financial education foundation, and of course, we always say start very, very, very small, because use a little bit of money because you're going to make a lot of mistakes. We always do. We make mistakes on everything we do. So start small, but this is the time to prepare for when those opportunities come up.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of real estate. So start with Kenny's book. It's $20. Yeah. And the difference between Kenny's world, which is real estate, and Andy's world, which is stocks, Andy's world is liquid. Means when Andy makes a mistake, he can get out that minute, right? He can go in and out in a minute.
That's right. That's right.
You buy a piece of real estate, you're the skipper of the Titanic, man. You're going down with it. So that's why both require study. Real estate especially, because when you put some debt on and you just bought Neiman Marcus's old building, you're going to write that baby down.
And I would say spend $40 because you got the ABCs of real estate investing, but the real gem is his property management book, Kenny's property management book, because property management is what makes or breaks a property. Yeah. What makes or breaks your positive cash flow or negative cash flow. You've got to learn how to manage. And
Andy's book, for those who like stocks and trends, is Stock Market Cash Flow, right? Explain what that book teaches, Andy.
Yeah, because I never knew you could get cash flow from the stock market.
Yeah, stock market cash flow talks about four things. First, how we evaluate buying a business, and that's called fundamentals. You learn that by playing the cash flow game. The second thing is what Robert said is called trends, and we study that. The third thing is positioning for cash flow. If you had a machine that spit out dollars, it's the dollars and the cash flow you care about. It's not the price of the machine that fluctuates. And most people worry very, very much about, it's almost like trying to flip houses, buy it low, flip it, sell it high, buy it low, flip it, sell it high. But you can cash flow from the stock market. Then the final thing we talk about is managing risk. The liquidity of the market gives us some interesting ways to manage risk, but we can also use a great real estate idea, which is insurance. If a house burns down, I have insurance because I can't sell it. If it starts on fire, I can't pound a sign in the front that says fire sale, hurry, it's going fast, right? So I can also use insurance and hedges all the time in markets. And this is an important point. This is one of the reasons I don't like 401ks is there's no insurance for that, right, Robert? You can't insure against a crash in a 401k like you can as a real estate investor, even a business owner. And so, which in the next 12 months, which is more likely to happen, your house to burn down or your 401k to burn down? So maybe I will learn I'm spending money on my home insurance. Maybe I learned how to protect with contracts. That's why Mark Cuban is still a billionaire. He sold his company, broadcast.com, to Yahoo, the search engine, for $6 billion in stock. Well, that went from, Yahoo that's the noise you make when you go down, Yahoo. And the reason he's still a billionaire is he had contracts allowed him to sell that stock high, even though it went low. As a matter of fact, he was overinsured. And so, he's not a billionaire because he had a 401k. He's a billionaire because he understood insurance. So those are the four things we cover in stock market cash flow. And, it was a fun book to write. And I was honored that you guys had asked me to write it. And it's a great primer. It's a great starting place more than anything. If you've never done it before, you don't know anything about it, you want square one, first, I would play the cash flow game and then maybe decide which book you want to get.
Right. And as far as what should you invest in, one of the best things people say is do what you love. Like Kim and I, we love what we do. We get up every morning. We're happy to go to work. We don't need to go to work, but we love what we do. On the secondary side of it, we invest in what we love. I don't love mutual funds. I don't invest in them. I don't like ETFs. I don't invest in them. I love gold and silver. I invest in real gold and silver. I don't invest in gold and silver ETFs. I don't trust them. But if you love ETFs, invest in them. So it really is a matter of what you love. And we love our work, we love our investing. And it's not that we never lose, but because we love what we do, we're not afraid of it. We can come back on it. So if I could go back to and one more thing, my rich dad was my coach. He wasn't my teacher. So when I came back from Vietnam, he said, if you want to learn about debt, you have to learn about real estate. So I said, would you teach me? And he says, I don't teach, I'm an investor. And so with that, he says, go take a real estate course. So this is in 73 or 74. I'm watching television and then comes this info on, learn how to invest nothing down, anything down. That changed my life. If you can buy something for nothing, you really tap into the power of that space between your left ear and your right ear. It's called a brain. Use it instead of being waiting told what to do. So Andy can invest with nothing. Kim can invest with nothing. But that's the real power of financial education.
Well, that's such a great point because I know we've all heard it. I'll invest when I have money. And of course, emergencies happen. You never have money. So that was probably the best thing for us was that we didn't have the money, and it forced us to get very, very creative and figure out once we found the investment, how to get the money to buy the investment. That's real financial education.
I'll tell you another funny story about Kim, because I was doing, after we got married, I was doing my best to teach her what my rich dad taught me. And the hard part was you don't need money. So we were living in Oregon at that time, and I found the really smoking deal, the Carl Ann. was, I don't know, 32 units or something. And so I'm looking at it. We didn't have the money. So then I said, don't worry, Kim. If it's a good deal, the money will show up. Remember that?
I remember it very well.
So she does all the numbers and all that. So she calls our friend Steve Zox up in Toronto, who was a really good real estate investor. I'm sorry about that. Kim reads Steve the numbers, and he says, how much money do you want? What happened after that, Kim?
We were asking him for 50% of the down payment to be 50% partner with us. And he said, I'm in, like that, just like that. And Robert and I were driving, we were on the phone and we were driving, and they pulled over, and we said, thank you. Okay, we'll call you. And we pulled over, and I'm like, if he thinks this is such a great deal that he's willing to give us money just like that, it must be a great deal. So now we got to figure out how to own 100% of it. And so it's like we had to figure out how to come up with 100% of the down payment, and we did. And we did, because we knew it was a good deal. So you get very creative and you figure it out because you want it. You know it's going to be part of your financial future.
Yeah. And that's why coaching and having real teachers really helps a lot. So if I could bring this thing to a close, your best asset sits between your left ear and your right ear, and your guts and your heart. If you haven't got guts and heart, hang it up, buy mutual funds. But anyway, going back to 96, Kim and I created this cash flow board game. And for those that haven't had a chance to play it, play it at least 10 times, because the game is changing all the time, just like real life. But this is basically what our schools don't teach. This is a financial statement. You have income, expense, assets, liability. So what our schools teach us to do is go to school, get a job. And so the cash flow comes in, and the first place it goes to is to the government in tax. And you wonder where your money went. It went to the government. So you get a job, that's where it goes. And then they tell you, buy a house because it's an asset. And so here you have house under liability. Why is it liability? Because your money comes in and it goes out to the bank. The cash is flowing out of your pockets. Everything they're telling you to do is taking money out of your pockets. And then they say, get a 401k. And so the 401k is technically an asset. So here's your 401k here. But every month, the money comes out of your paycheck and goes to Wall Street. That's real cash flow. So those idiots that say to you, go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, buy a house, and invest in a 401k, they're just putting a vacuum cleaner in your pocket, and they're sucking the cash out. And worst of all, when there's nothing there, you still have nothing in your head. So at least if you play the cash flow game, you buy some books, hire a coach, study, hang out with friends who are going the same direction, at least you'll have something between your left ear and your right ear. So once again, I thank you all for listening. It's a very exciting time. It's a brave new world. And I think all the rules have changed. We're never going to be the same again. So anyway, good luck. And final words, Andy?
Just thank you for everyone for tuning in. I can't agree with Robert more in terms of a coach. That's a life-changing idea when you get someone else to help lift you and educate you. Grateful to Kim as well. I owe her so much. Both of you have impacted my life as teachers and mentors beyond what I could express. And I just, again, congratulate everyone for showing up and, invite you to make the decisions that you feel like you should make, whether it be advice or education. Thank you.
Thank you. Kim, final words.
Thank you, Andy. And thank you to all the Rich Dad advisors, because we would not be here. Rich Dad would not be here without our team of advisors. They have done magnificent things to get us to where we are today. And I really want to thank all of you for watching. There's so much more to touch on. You really just need to pay attention to what's happening in your backyard to see what the future is going to be. We never even talked about how we're all on Zoom calls today and how the whole work world is changing and commercial real estate. What's that going to look like? The world is really changing. And in terms of how we're going to work together, how we're going to interact, that can be a huge opportunity as well. So I just want to thank everybody for watching. And Robert, I'm going to give you the last words. And then after Robert, we're going to turn it back over to the Rich Dad team for the next segment of the program, which is going to be great.
Thank you. In closing, the word education is a derivative of the Latin word educe. Educe doesn't say put in. See, when people lecture at you like they do in school, they're trying to put data in your brain. The real definition of educe is to draw out. And so what I was told by my rich dad is that sitting in each and every one of us is a rich person, also a middle class person, and a poor person. And the trouble with going to school is it either keeps you poor or middle class, because that's what they tell you to do. Go to school, get a job, work hard, pay taxes, get out of debt, and save money for the long term in the stock market. That keeps you poor, middle class. So you have a choice today. You can have a choice of bringing out the rich person in you. And that'll mean studying and reading some of the books we recommended, playing the cash flow game, changing friends, changing what you spend your money on, or you can remain poor and middle class. If you want to do that, that's very easy, but I don't recommend it. It really is a brave new world. The rules have completely changed, and I think they've changed forever. So the reason we thank you for listening is may you keep changing as this world keeps changing. And thank you for Rich Dad World for putting us on this podcast. Thank you.
So please stay tuned. And,
wow, that was incredible. What a powerful event.
You're find a lot
now,
of value in it too.
let's talk about how you, the viewer, can leverage that information and take advantage of a great opportunity from Rich Dad. Robert Kiyosaki has agreed to join me for this upcoming segment designed to help you take action from today's learnings. I'm going to give Robert just a minute to get settled in so we can share an exciting opportunity with all of you. Now, while he gets ready, let me say, I hope you're all feeling motivated to take your next step. Whether you're looking at becoming an entrepreneur or an investor for the first time, or maybe you're ready to take it up a notch and do bigger or more profitable deals, we are here to support you. Okay, and remember, as promised, Robert is going to stick around and answer your questions and share his advice to help you take your next step. Plus, stay tuned for a special bonus segment. And speaking of your next step, let's start there first. Robert and I both have complete confidence in your ability to do this because you know what? Amateurs don't seek out financial education. Professionals do. And by showing up here today to seek out this education, you've shown you're ready to become a pro at this. And since you're here, what we're about to share with you is an exclusive opportunity for you, and it's designed to change your financial future and begin immediately increasing your monthly cash flow. You've already heard powerful information today, but now is your time to consider what are you going to do with it. Hopefully today, you've seen how simple success can be if you just follow the path of those who've already done what you're trying to do. Learn what they did, repeat what they did. It's a much easier and faster way to achieve results. I took action myself 20 years ago with no experience and no blueprint. I had only read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but I knew it was possible. You don't need to waste your time, energy, and hard-earned money the way I did. You can virtually eliminate your risks and finally get out of the rat race in a fraction of the time it took me. 20 years ago, I wish I had what Robert and his team are going to offer you today, an exclusive invitation to secure your financial freedom and exit the rat race by implementing Robert's real estate cash flow blueprint. This first-of-its-kind online training system will walk you through the exact steps to acquire at least one cash flow producing property in the next year, and then repeat the process again and again. If you're serious about finally getting out of the rat race, if you want a reliable, proven financial education that can make your financial freedom attainable faster than you ever thought possible, if you want to guarantee yourself a raise of at least $6,000 every single year, and if you want to take all of the risky guesswork out of increasing your cash flow, then the Real Estate Cash Flow Blueprint is specifically for you. In order to fulfill Robert's mission to elevate the financial well-being of humanity, he worked with his team to develop an innovative, step-by-step system that lays out exactly what to do to achieve financial independence with real estate. It's literally a blueprint for building a bridge to financial freedom the Rich Dad way. After you've gone through this step-by-step system, you'll know exactly how to buy your first or your next investment property with positive cash flow, with little or none of your own money guaranteed. The teaching and training material you'll have access to in the Real Estate Cash Flow Blueprint has already made such a massive difference in so many people's lives. That's because it's the same material Robert and his experts have used for years. They've used it to help people achieve financial freedom the Rich Dad way. Take Lisa, for example. She started like I did, do something different because they had such big expenses and no true assets. But now their passive income has surpassed their expenses. Here's what Lisa had to say. We're proud to say we reached our goal of acquiring passive income over expenses in our own personal lives. This was no easy task since we had lots of expenses and no true assets. However, with the knowledge that the Rich Dad team offers, which is massive, a little patience, persistence, and minding our business, we were able to achieve this in a few short years. Lisa R., Tennessee. Wow, I still can't help but get excited when I hear results like that. And the Real Estate Cash Flow Blueprint is going to make them attainable for you too. This system comes to you with 7 comprehensive sessions you can access anytime, where Robert's personally trained real estate experts walk you through every profit-making strategy you need to know. They'll show you step-by-step how to achieve real wealth with real estate. Even if you have little or no money, no experience, and you have a full-time job, let me quickly show you what you're going to learn in each module. In module number 1, Think Like the Rich. You'll learn how to leverage not only your own money, but more importantly, other people's money to unlock true wealth. You'll start to think like the rich think and seize opportunities that are right in your backyard, just like the rich do. In module number 2, Taking Control of Your Cash Flow, you'll learn how simple it is to finally take back control of your cash flow and establish your plan, be secure, and live life on your terms. Module number 3 is where you're going to learn how you can do this no matter what your schedule is, whether you have a demanding full-time job or you're an extremely busy parent. It's called Making Time for Success. And by the end, you'll be leveraging your personal time like the rich manage theirs, so you can get the highest returns on the time you do have available. In module number 4, Identifying Your Target Market, we'll give you the tips, tricks, and secrets to locate properties with the most profit potential. So you're not going to have to worry about where to look or how to know if a property has great potential or not. We're going to show you exactly what to look for and what to avoid. Of course, finding their cash flow, so you don't have to waste your time chasing unprofitable deals. After doing this over and over again all over the world, we know the specific traits to look for in a seller in order to get unbelievable value out of your deal. So this really gives you an unfair advantage in every potential deal you find. In module number 6, Showing You the Money, you'll learn how you can acquire almost any deal using creative financing techniques to purchase properties with little or no down payment. And ultimately, in module number 7, Doing Your First Deal, you're going to see step-by-step how to establish connections and negotiate your deals for maximum cash flow. As you watch these sessions, Robert's experts will walk you through everything you need to quickly start acquiring cash flow producing properties. You're also going to have instant access to Robert's step-by-step real estate cash flow curriculum, which includes in-depth exercises and training materials. This will allow you to map out your exact plan of action, so you'll have a completely unique blueprint designed the Rich Dad way for your specific market and your financial situation. So, immediately after you join today, you're going to receive an email from the Rich Dad team giving you instant access to the entire real estate cash flow blueprint system. Inside our secure, members-only site, you'll have immediate access to the highest quality training material we believe exists on the market today. And you'll also get every update that we implement as time goes on. So you can keep coming back to this again and again to help you acquire even more assets. You're getting the exact system Robert's developed to help people acquire their first property without the fear and pitfalls that hold most would-be investors back. Start generating positive cash flow and passive income within just a few months of getting started. Eliminate the easily avoidable but all too common mistakes that cost amateur investors thousands of dollars and endless stress. Becoming financially free so you can stop worrying and live the life you've always wanted. Maybe that means taking that dream vacation with your family. Or maybe it means eventually walking away from your 9-to-5 job so you can have the flexibility to spend more time with the people that matter most while pursuing your passion. It's all put together for you as if Robert's team of experts were standing right beside you, showing you what to do every step of the way. You can do this if you have no experience, even if you don't have a ton of money or good credit, and even if you feel like you don't have the spare time to get started. Let's hear about the experience of a couple of rich dad success stories who took control of their financial future, and they've seen some amazing results.
Hi, I'm Glenda van Blurk from Cape Town, South Africa. I was introduced to the Rich Dad program and decided to give myself the training and just invest in myself. I have learned so much in the last 6 months, and I have a lot of confidence in my real estate dealings now. So I want to encourage anybody who's contemplating working with the Rich Dad organization, don't hesitate. Really invest in yourself. It's you couldn't spend better money or time or energy. So thank you, Robert, Kim, and everybody at the Rich Dad organization.
The purpose of sending this video is I wanted to thank you all for that positive impact that you have actually made on my mind towards money, towards business, and about my future in general. You made me to wake up. Yeah, thank you very much for this, and take care of yourself.
We believe the financial education this system gives you exceeds virtually any other real estate investing techniques. Not only are these seminars expensive, they're inconvenient. You have the added cost of travel, not to mention the time spent away from your family. And then you have to cram into some hotel room and listen to speakers drone on for hours. And if you attend one of these, I hope you're great at taking notes, because you only get to hear the information once. You don't get to come back to it again and again in a convenient online format like Robert's Real Estate Cash Flow Blueprint. That's why Robert created the new Real Estate Cash Flow Blueprint system, so everyone could afford the professional support they need to finally get out of the rat race once and for all. And the great news is, Robert's newest step-by-step system won't cost you anywhere near $30,000. To make sure everyone can afford the training and education necessary to build wealth and finally get out of the rat race, Robert is making his new Real Estate Cash Flow Blueprint system available today only to the first 100 students at an exclusive introductory live stream special price. Now, this offer is only valid during this strategy session, and it's limited to the first 100 students who act right now. To take advantage of the exclusive introductory live stream offer for the first 100 students and get instant access to the entire Real Estate Cash Flow Blueprint, simply click the button that says, "Yes, I want in." You'll enter your information into our secure system, and you'll get an email giving you immediate access. Robert is so passionate about helping students who help themselves. He wants to reward your decision to take action and invest in your financial freedom with 3 incredible bonuses, available exclusively to those attending this strategy session. The first bonus, it's called the Personal Real Estate Riches Profile, and it was created by the world-renowned Myers-Briggs. This profile will show you is that it really doesn't matter what kind of personality you have. Whether you're introverted, extroverted, feel anxious talking about money, or excited about it, there are proven tactics you can use to feel comfortable and confident in the negotiating process and save yourself thousands of dollars. So that means you're going to get Rich Dad's Real Estate Cash Flow Blueprint and the Personal Real Estate Riches Profile, which is already a total value of close to $2,700. Of course, you'll be getting it at a fraction of that. But that's not all you're going to get. Let's talk about bonus number 2. Now, the only thing that can be more paralyzing than the fear of getting started with taking control of your financial future is the legal side of acquiring assets. Can you do it without hiring an expensive lawyer? The second bonus you're getting solves all those issues. It's Robert's Proven Real Estate Contracts and Forms Toolkit. It gives you tested professional contracts and forms you can use with confidence to profit from your first deal. This bonus alone can truly maximize your cash. Experts are going to reveal the insider secrets of how to build off your first success and truly scale your wealth in a predictable way. In these 7 bonus sessions, you're going to learn things like the secrets to painless and profitable property management. So many people don't realize you don't have to turn into a handyman or maintenance engineer to own properties if you learn to do it the Rich Dad way, which is exactly what we'll show you. You're also going to learn how to build your own personal team of advisors. We'll show you how to surround yourself with specialists so you can continue growing your wealth even faster and with even more time and freedom in your schedule. You'll also discover the secrets to skyrocketing cash flow with foreclosures and fixer-uppers. Robert's experts walk you through the exact process for finding and acquiring distressed properties for maximum profit. And best of all, we'll show you how to leverage the simple real estate tax advantages the rich have known about for decades. After all, Robert doesn't pay taxes. Why should you? Honestly, that's just the tip of the iceberg of what these sessions will cover. And if you're an action taker, we're going to reward you with this third bonus worth nearly $2,000. It's everything you need to fill your asset column with income-producing properties. To recap, that means you get the real estate cash flow blueprint, the personal real estate riches profile created with Myers-Briggs, Robert's Proven Real Estate Contracts and Forms Toolkit, and the insider secrets to scaling your cash flow and mastering real estate bonus course. Sold separately, this would easily have a value of over $5,000, but you'll get them for a fraction of that. This is the only time we've ever offered this kind of training and this much value at this exclusive bargain price. And it's only available right here on this strategy session to the first 100 students. After we finish the Q&A with Robert, this opportunity will disappear and we may never ever offer it again at this price. So I want you to imagine for a moment, if all this did was finally give you the nudge you need to finally get out of the rat race and start making significant progress toward getting financial freedom, would it be worth it? Or what if it gave you the flexibility to start setting your own schedule so you can spend more time with the people who matter most to you? How would it feel to take that day off just because you feel like it? Would that be worth it? Or how about simply having peace of mind that your family's financial future is secure? What would it be worth to never have to worry about what things might look like 5 or 10 years from now because of the decision you make today? It would absolutely be worth it, right? Now, I know when we talk in those terms, it can almost sound like a dream, like something that's always going to be beyond your reach. But let's do some quick back-of-the-napkin math right here so you can see just how attainable your dreams really are when you start building wealth with cash flow producing real estate. So if all this program did was show you how to get just one property that gave your family an extra $500 of cash flow per month, that would add up to an extra $6,000 every year. That would be great, right? When's the last time you got a $6,000 raise? But even more importantly, you'd know exactly how to do it again and again and finally get out of the rat race. Think about this for a minute. What could it do for your life if you didn't stop with just one property? Imagine if you continued to simply repeat the process and bought just one additional property per year that each generated $500 per month. That would be $90,000 in additional cash flow over the next 5 years. Plus, the increased equity in those properties while someone else is making the payments for you. And remember, that's from only taking the time to do this once per year. But what if you did a little more? What if you acquired just 3 properties per year? Those numbers would add up fast. You could see over $250,000 of additional cash flow in just 5 years. It might sound crazy, but it shows you what can happen when you implement Robert's proven strategies. And maybe some of you want to take it to another level. Maybe you're targeting 1 property per month. That would be 12 properties per year. I'm not even going to share how much cash flow that would be, but you can guess it's a really big number. Do you see how exciting this is? I hope you feel as excited as I do about these numbers. And don't forget, not only are you creating positive cash flow every month, but you're also controlling potentially millions of dollars in real estate. And other people are paying the mortgages. This makes your small investment in yourself here today a no-brainer. What you have in front of you today is exactly the solution I wish I had when I started back in 1997. Robert's real estate cash flow blueprint means you don't need to suffer through the expensive trial and error of going it alone. It's going to show you step by step how you can acquire at least 1 positive cash flow producing property in this next year, and then go out and repeat the process over and over. Even if you have no cash to invest, poor or no credit, and no experience. All the hard work has been done for you. It can give you lifelong passive income to finally get out of the rat race once and for all. Now, I know many of you are familiar with Robert and Rich Dad. You've read a book or two, and you've seen the real results the Rich Dad way has achieved for thousands and thousands of investors all over the world. But I know for some of you, this is our first time meeting and getting to know one another. Maybe you're much newer to Rich Dad. And while Robert and I hope we've given you incredible value by taking you deeper into the secrets of gaining financial freedom today, we want to make sure this decision to invest in your financial future is as easy as possible. We want to give you what is truly a risk-free investment for making the bold decision to take control of your life right now. That's why Robert's backing this program with a 30-day money-back guarantee. We're so confident this is going to help you start generating passive income quickly. We're going to remove all the risk. So if you decide for any reason this isn't for you, just let the Rich Dad team know in the first 30 days, and you'll receive a full refund with no hassle and no questions asked. This gives you plenty of time to jump into the real estate cash flow blueprint and see just how game-changing it can be for your income and your lifestyle. That's how confident we are that this will have a profound impact on your life. Also, for those of you who are excited to dive into the training, but maybe you're a little hesitant or afraid of getting stuck, we want to make this as simple as possible for you. That's why we're making a special option available today only to the first 100 students worth $2,000 that will give you live comprehensive sessions where Robert's personally trained real estate experts walk you through every profit-making strategy you need to know. That means if you have a question, you can get a personal answer from one of Robert's experts. And remember,